What's up, everybody? Crypto Noah back with another video, coming to you Monday through Friday with a new way for you to generate passive income so you can put your idle crypto assets and or stable coins to work and generate as much as you can so you can sell them ahead of the next bull market. So today we're going to be reviewing a protocol called Steel Protocol. And Steel Protocol is basically a liquidity position manager. It kind of helps automate your liquidity positions instead of you just having to go on Uniswap and do it yourself. But they're more than just that. They allow you to pretty much automate anything on chain using on chain and off chain data. And we're going to get into all of that. We're going to cover what it is, how it works. We're going to go through the docs. We're going to go through the audit. They don't have a token, so there isn't any tokenomics to go through. I'm going to do a platform walkthrough after we go through the docs so you can see all their liquidity pools. And at the end, I'm going to tell you whether if I would use this platform or not. So before we get into it, I do have to say this video should not be taken as financial advice. Please consult with your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Who actually does that? This video is for your education purposes only, and like we always say, do your own research, but use this channel as a starting point. Before we get into it, one more thing I do have to say, our beta course learning platform is live. We're onboarding our first few users. I'm taking calls. So if you want to learn how to find the best yields DeFi has to offer, be able to vet them, track them, pretty much generate passive income while this opportunity still lasts, before the big banks and financial institutions and TradFi market makers are legally allowed to hop in, book a free strategy session with me. I'm going to get a good idea as to your goals, where you're at, where you're trying to go, your experience, all that stuff to see if this is a good fit for you. If not, at least you'll learn a thing or two and I'll be able to point you in the right direction. So now that all that's out the way, let's get into Steer Finance. All right, so here we are on the docs. It says Steer is a decentralized computing protocol built with the goal of addressing the challenges of infrastructure and data in building, securing, and deploying decentralized Web3 backends. So it says with Steer, anyone can write cross-chain apps using 20 plus different programming languages using Steer app engines, connect them to secure data sources on or off chain using the Steer data marketplace, and execute on any blockchain using Steer Finance. Whether building onto native apps or creating your own, Steer gives you the power to do anything, some of which are automated liquidity management, which is live right now. I don't think these ones are live because I didn't see them on the platform, but you'll be able to automate loan payments, asset management, governance, cross-chain action. So let's say, when this happens, I want to trade my ETH from Arbitrum to USDC on Optimism, automated trading strategies, protocol operational tasks like reward distribution, airdrops, and more, and building oracles in just a few minutes and more. All right, so let's go through some of their key features. It says, Steer eliminates the need for centralized infrastructure setup, giving everyone a democratized access to create apps, app engines, and data connectors and monetize them. Specializes in off-chain computing, complex and dynamic operations, and data processing apps. Steer allows up to 10 data integration inside an app through its data marketplace. It's a truly multi-chain protocol that's 100% decentralized and no downtime. And it says it offers the most flexible and reactive billing routers based on different app engines, making it the one-stop and cheapest solution for all your Web3 back-end needs. So now let's go over the architecture overview. And, I'm not trying to bore you guys with all this, but, it's important to know how a project works or a protocol works before you use it. So I'm not going to go through every single thing, but I'm going to hit the important things. And if you're still interested, obviously go here and read everything for yourself. So it says the Steer architecture has an efficient and dependable design featuring a dual layer consensus system. The system ensures modularity, safety, and ease of use. So when it says dual layer, dual means two. So it sounds like it's two ways to come to a consensus. And it makes sense if they say it ensures modularity. To be modular is to basically think of division of labor. I made a pretty good video on this whole concept and how I feel like it's going to be the modular blockchains that win, but it's basically using certain components optimized for certain tasks, not using one component to do every task. For example, a blockchain has 3 layers: consensus layer that says what's true, a data layer that is storage, and an execution layer, which is your finality or computation. Most blockchains, everything is happening. All 3 of those things is happening on the mainnet, but that's the reason why, modularity is the only way to solve this scaling issue that we're having with Ethereum and all these other chains. That's why you have layer 2s for the execution, and then you have shards for data so that the main net is free and it has more data that can fit into each block. So basically what this is saying is when you build something on here, like let's say, I want to have my own Uniswap v3 pool that I code in my own smart contract functions to fire when X happens, the smart contract does Y. So basically what they're saying is they have a framework in place that it's almost like an auditing process. So once you're done, before it can go live within the marketplace, it has to go through these tests first. So that way, not only is it more secure, but it has a higher chance of working. I think that's good stuff. And it says from an overview perspective, once an app is deployed, it's securely retrieved by every node in the steered network for execution. Each node performs various actions needed for app execution off-chain, led by a vote on the action, and then finally, once consensus is reached, the on-chain execution happens. So it sounds like they have their own blockchain, they have their own nodes, and they have their own miners. So they're basically saying like once something is supposed to go into a transaction, just like all the, or at least 51% of the nodes have to agree on a Bitcoin transaction. It's the same idea here to keep the network secure. All right, now let's get into apps. And it looks like this is the DApp store, decentralized application store, not application. And right now they just have like concentrated liquidity, but I imagine when they have like, the thing about automating trades, cross-chain things, all those other things, you're gonna be able to go on a marketplace and just pick what you want. But right now they only have one product. So that makes sense. So now it says, what can I build? Apps can range from complex concentrated liquidity market makers to simple oracles. Actually, I don't know if it's a matter of if it's not ready yet or if people just haven't built it yet. I don't know if they build apps themselves or it's just for people. I'm sure they have some, but I digress. The Steer protocol also provides an open data connector marketplace, which provides developers with the ability to build their own data connectors and integrate them with apps on the Steer protocol itself. So they give you a lot of flexibility for developers. You want to make sure it's a friendly developer environment, because if developers aren't using it, things aren't being built. Things aren't being built, things aren't being used. And if things aren't being used, money isn't being made. And if money isn't being made, the business has to close the doors. So now it says, can I use on-chain data? Yes. Apps can also query the graph. Graph is like an on-chain indexing platform. Think Google on-chain. You Google a search, all that information has to be indexed based off the keywords you type in or the prompt, whatever you want to call it. This enables developers to pass messages from on-chain to the app execution process. Next, how are apps executed? Apps are executed by a steered network, which is composed of node runners in an isolated sandboxed environment. When executed, apps do not have access to the internet. All external data is managed through a sub-process within the network and provided to the app prior to execution. All apps also have a imposed minimum threshold for votes. Thus, if there are bad actors within the network, built-in anomaly detection will discard their data. The output of each app is then paused to a special node called a keeper to find consensus and do on-chain execution. I wonder if they have any kind of slashing or any kind of, because I imagine that since they're new, there aren't a lot of nodes, so it wouldn't be hard to manipulate the network. So I wonder if they have something in place to where if a bad transaction or bad action is approved, that person is punished. Because if they're not, there's no financial incentive for them to not do it. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, this part is important. This is the app incentive model. It says all yield generating apps on Steer have a 15% performance fee that is split among all the network participants. 5% goes to the node runner, 5% goes to the app creator, and then 5% goes to the actual protocol. It says when a yield generating app is cloned onto a new token pair, the original app creator retains all fees earned. If the app was originally created for wrapped ETH/USDC and someone clones it to use it for USDC DAI, the original app creator will earn 5% fees on a new vault in addition to the old one. I don't like this, guys. I don't. I get it. They're in business. They have to make money. I'm not sure if they raised capital. If they didn't raise capital, it's also more understandable. That's why I like Aperture. Like, they allow you to do these rebalancing on UniV3. And since they're VC backed, they're kind of kicking profit down the line just to get as many users as they can. And that helps me right now because I am a mercenary farmer. I am. I'll admit it. And you should be too. You want to go to where the yields are. You should be an agnostic farmer, not a loyal farmer just because you love the protocol. Unless you have vested interest in it via holding a shit ton of the tokens that maybe you can't sell, or if you're a founder in the project or an advisor or something like that. But even still, 15% is a lot for yield farming. So it's like basically when you start, you're kind of starting from negative 15%. And, you know, it takes a while to recover that, you know, when you can easily go somewhere else and not have to worry about that. So, you know, I'll kind of get into that in the end, but I just wanted to say, like, it's not a red flag, but I just don't like it. Then it says, what are some more app engines in the future pipelines for steered apps? So it sounds like they have some more in the works. So one is a dynamic app engine, and this can be used for tasks that require more complex logic or data-driven automation. For example, a dynamic automation can be designed to monitor an external data source and trigger a contract function only when certain conditions are met, or this can be a useful task such as triggering a contract function when a price threshold is reached or when a specific event occurs on an external platform. Now, I feel like an event that occurs is pretty cool. That's different. That would be cool if you can do something like, oh, if there's a hack or there's a bug on this platform, like withdraw my liquidity or something like that. Or if there's a hack on another protocol, because we all know, like, if one DEX gets hacked, especially a large one, people are probably going to pull out. Depending on what protocol it is, like if it's Uniswap, it might cause some selling pressure. So if you can have that in place, that'd be dope. And they have Oracle App Engine. It says the Steer Oracle App Engine allows individuals or protocols to quickly and easily create decentralized oracles, streamlining the process of obtaining reliable real-time data for use in smart contracts and other blockchain-based applications. This tool saves time and resources that will otherwise be spent on the labor-intensive process of building oracles from scratch. So it sounds like they have some out-of-the-box oracles that you can use to connect to different things on and off chain, which is pretty cool. It's a lot of like what Chainlink is doing. I don't know how much they're competing with them, but you know, it's another thing to be aware of. Third one is a dollar cost average engine. It says this engine can be used for apps that want to buy token X for a particular amount of time of token Y from a DEX under various conditions like time price. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I don't know about a DEX that has dollar cost averaging. I know you can do it on exchanges, but you know, if you follow my channel for a while, you know we don't keep our money on exchanges unless we're on ramping or off ramping. So I would use that feature. I think that's pretty cool. All right, the next one is the App Store. So why do we need an App Store? It says current platforms and keeper networks only allow core team members to publish apps or strategies due to the restrictive nature of their infrastructure and manual approval processes. I think, especially in today's age, your value is placed on your network. People always talking about networking effects, and the more your networking effects, the stickier your liquidity. This is what Uniswap is doing with UniV4 hooks, and I made a video on this. Feel free to check that out. Definitely recommend. But they are releasing a marketplace. Like hooks are a marketplace that allows developers to use things for people who want to come use the DEX. And if I had to give an analogy, this analogy I gave in the video, it's kind of like when Apple released their App Store. At first, it was all of Apple's apps in the App Store. But then they allowed people to start building apps. And then the birth of Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Uber, Airbnb, Fiverr, like all these different apps that we can use and deploy if you're a developer. So it makes it more sticky, especially in crypto, because it's hard to fork. Like, you know, Uniswap, their concentrated liquidity license expired, I forget how many months ago, but that allowed other decentralized exchanges to fork the decentralized exchange and now offer concentrated liquidity. And that's why you see it on multiple DEXs after it expired. But the fact that they have hooks and people are going to build these custom things on Uniswap, one, it's already the winning DEX in terms of TVL and volume. Sometimes they do more daily volume than Coinbase. But once they have those hooks and people are using them and they're customized in different protocols that you can only use on Uniswap, you know, I don't know how much people are going to be using other DEXs. It's usually 3 winners in any industry, you know, 3 to 5. So I think by Steer Protocol trying to do this, you know, I think they're moving in the right direction. Now let's get to the good part. Concentrated liquidity and Steer Protocol. So kind of talks about what concentrated liquidity is. If you've watched my channel, you already know, but basically it allows you to provide liquidity in the form of pairs within a certain price range. So if you think Ethereum is going to trade at, you know, between $2,000 to $5,000 against USDC, you can provide liquidity within that range, out of that range, below, above, whatever you want to do, versus just saying, hey, here's my ETH and USDC. Use it for whatever price does. Concentrated liquidity makes your capital more efficient if you know what you're doing. So it says, to help app creators and investors make informed decisions when building on the Steer protocol, we will work to provide tools to backtest or simulate apps. App creators can use the Steer toolset for backtesting in their development cycle to tune parameters or see if features are working as needed. Users of the platform looking to evaluate the risk of apps in various market conditions can run their own tests on the app to see if they are willing to invest. Yeah, so, we talked about how you have to go through certain things before you can publish something on the App Store. From what I was looking at when I was doing the platform walkthrough, and I'll look again, and if I'm wrong, correct me, obviously. I didn't see a way to backtest like the liquidity pools on here. I couldn't find the NFT ID to even check the performance. Maybe I'm missing it, but that's just what I saw. But it's good that they let the developers backtest it at least. Hopefully they care enough to do so. All right, so now let's talk about smart pools and deploy mode. So it says smart pools emerge when yield generating algorithmic strategies is added to AMM pools like SushiSwap, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and more. These smart pools provide seamless automation for active liquidity management using Steer protocol's cutting-edge multi-position strategy infrastructure. Man, that's a mouthful. Coupled with the prowess of off-chain computing. And it says it allows high fees compared to other ALMs and permissionless systems, better concentration of liquidity around the current price, deeper liquidity on the same amount of liquidity, reduced slippage and IL for the traders, and auto compounding of fees with boosted rewards to optimize profits and reduce risks for LPs. So right now, in collaboration with Angle and Merkle, they're offering rewards to different pools. So they have 3 modes to deploy a smart pool: quick and easy, advanced, and expert. Let's go through quick and easy. It says this mode uses Steer protocol channel multiplier to establish price channel in your desired pool. So just choose a percentage spread around current price. So let's say ETH is 2,000. You want to provide liquidity 25% above and below, 50% above and below, or 75. And it gives you the spread percentage, the pools, the fees compared with the V2 pool, et cetera, et cetera. You can also use like Uniswap Labs or Builder Metrics to kind of track this stuff as well. Might be easier too. Tells you how to do it. Advanced mode. This presents a curated list of feature investment strategies, each suited to match your specific requirements and market volatility. Within this mode, you'll find a strategy with essential details such as TVL, range of APR, and the optimal volatility environment for each strategy to help you choose better. So it's almost like you get a little manager, it seems like. And then the last one is expert mode. And it says this one is tailor-made for quants, programmers, protocols, and market makers aiming to deploy their own customized strategy on the AMM's pool with 100% customization and control. So, if you have something that you want to build specifically for you and not have to worry about any kind of limitations, it sounds like expert mode is the way to go. Obviously, you have to be a developer as well, or at least have access to one, because it's not just drag and drop. And they talk about back testing. They show you how to install it. Obviously, I'm not a developer. And then it even tells you how to run a test. And it also gives you assumptions of back testing, like what to expect when you're back testing. If you're interested in that, in effort to keep this video short, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just go to docs.steer.finance and you can find it right here. And then they go to all these liquidity management apps, Keltner channels, Bollinger Bands. I used to use Bollinger Bands back when I traded Forex, actually. Stop loss range. They give you a lot of building tools here. I think it's pretty cool. They give you all the testnet guides, pretty much how to connect your wallet, how to switch between different networks, incentives, etc., etc. And lastly, when you're putting your money somewhere, you want to make sure that money is safe, right? And in the land of smart contracts, this thing is new, so you want to make sure they have audits. So it's one thing to have an audit, but it's another thing to see errors and come back and fix it. Audits are not cheap, so when a project gets more than 2 or 3 audits, it tells me that they're somewhat serious. So they got one in October of 2023, May of 2023, and February. So that's pretty good. Let's look at the most recent one. Okay, so it's one major thing was identified, and it was also alleviated, so that's good. 10 mediums were identified and alleviated, so they fixed that. They fixed all these. They just have a few more informational things to fix, and it shows that in this graph here. and you can kind of like go through all this stuff if you want. Lastly, I always like to go on DeFi Llama to see where it stacks up against other projects. They only have a $4.6 million TVL. They have been growing steadily. So it looks like they launched, or at least we're being tracked on here since May. And it was kind of growing and growing and growing, couple hundred thousand to now 4 million. So, you know, this looks good. Not where I like to be to use it yet, but it's not the same thing. Like, it's not like it's its own decentralized exchange. They're using Uniswap. So if people are on here and they have good developers making apps that perform well, this TVL will increase. It's not as big an issue because you don't have to worry about volume since they're utilizing Uniswap pools, SushiSwap pools, and you know, just pools of dexes with a lot of volume. So the fact that the TVL is super low isn't as much of an issue as if they were a decentralized exchange on their own, because then you have to worry about liquidity issues, and then it wouldn't even be worth the risk. Like if that was the case, I wouldn't even be reviewing this protocol right now, just keeping it a buck with y'all. All right, so now that we finished that, let's do a platform walkthrough. And like I said, at the end, I'm gonna tell you if I would use this platform or not and give all my reasons as to why. All right, so here we are on Steer Finance. You can click this. These are all the chains that they're working on. So let's just kind of start from the top. And since we know Uniswap has the most volume, let's just click Uniswap. Whichever one you click, that's what it will filter by. So you can filter by smart pools, volume, TVL, APR. I'm going to filter by APR. Reason being is because remember, it's a 15% fee on that thing, y'all. That's a lot. So I want to make sure my passive income is at least worth it. And I'm not sure if the 15% is equated in that, because if that's the case, this ain't 34%, this is 19%, okay? So they got some pretty good pools on here. Just remember to subtract 15%, but the TVL is really, really small. But like I said, that's not as much of an issue, right? So you have ETH/USDC, $495, 66% APR. You got Matic USDC, Matic ETH, Wrap Bitcoin, Wrapped ETH, USDC, USDT. Let's see what happens when we click on one of these. All right, so it shows the interval, 2 hours, the width, the TVL in this particular pool. And if I scroll here, you get the summary of the strategy, classic rebalance strategy. You get a little summary that it looks like the person who deployed it wrote, position, configuration, data feed. Yeah, I don't see, you can get, it looks like you can get the address of the pool, but you can't get the particular NFT ID address, so I can go and plug it into somewhere like Revert Finance and see how it's performing to see if I want to put my money with this person, whoever created this. All right, so we looked at some Uniswap. Let's check out some sushi ones. So you got, we're going to sort by APR again here. All right, so PKR USDC 932%. Got a base APR 591 on staking. Okay. I'm not sure what PKR is, but if you're into that, Matic USDC. It's like, remember, you got to subtract 15%. So it's like, this might be a place to go to look for high-paying pools, and then just see if you can replicate a strategy on your own. You use something like Builder Metrics. I made a video on that. You can put it in the range, how it would have performed on the past, you know, however long, up to I think 60 or 90 days. Obviously, past results doesn't equal future results, so you got to take that into account. But at least you save 15%, and it's worth learning the skill. Something you'll be able to do for as long as this opportunity is going to be around. Wrap ETH Mana, I haven't heard about Decentraland in a while. I wonder how they're doing. So they got some pretty good yields here. Let's see QuickSwap. And then it says like you can deploy your own smart pool. So you click APR. So you got Matic DAO 138, ETH Aave 44, not bad. Matic ETH 32. So they got some pretty good pools on here. The TVL is super low though, 19 cents, 8 cents, 15 cents. Yeah, it looks like people are probably just using Uniswap. Let's check Arbitrum. Arbitrum's been pretty hot lately. Let's look at Uniswap on Arbitrum. See what they got here. And we want to sort by APR again. So you got Next and ETH 1000% APY. 566. ARB/USDC 171. That's not bad. Only 47 bucks in it, but not bad. ETH GMX 118. That pool has been That's been historically one of my favorite pools. GMX ETH. I've made a lot of money on ETH GMX. It was times where I was getting like 5 to 700% APR. Radiant wrapped ETH, ARB USDC 93%, wrapped ETH Link 87.2%. So not bad, not bad. Let's see these staking pools. See what we can stake here. Okay, none here. Let's see if we can stake on OP. No. See if we can stake on Polygon. Oh, we can stake that PKR token. So if we go here, we can stake the LP token. Just remember not to lose it because that's your ticket to get your liquidity back. Yeah, guys, so you can go through all these chains and go through all of the dexes that they have on each chain if you're interested in this. Hope that was helpful. All right, so now that we went through the strategy walkthrough, would I use this protocol? Yes or no, and why? The answer is, again, it depends, but right now I'm not, and I don't particularly plan on it. So let's go through why. Guys, I've lost most of my money trusting what someone else has said, trusting someone else's advice without doing my own research, or just putting in the work so that me and my family can benefit from me. I'd rather sink and swim for my own advice and actions versus someone else, because that's the only way I can learn. If I use one of these pools and I experience high and permanent loss and I lose most of my money, the only thing I learned is to not use that pool again. I either have to hope I can find a good one, rely on someone else who's learning lessons on their own as well, or I can take the time to learn the skill on my own so that I can become good at it and not have to rely on anyone else. And if you want to learn how to become a professional yield farmer, book a free strategy session with me, like I said in the beginning. Second reason why I wouldn't use this platform. That 15% fee, that's not small. You know, I get it's going to the nodes and it's going to the platform and the creator of the app. I get that. But maybe they should raise some money so that they can get some users first, because it's going to be hard to build up some fanatical users when you have other solutions. You can pretty much do the same things minus some things. I'll give them that. They do have some cool functions. I will give them that. But compared to what's out there, it's not worth paying 15%, in my opinion. And the thing about the fees is, like, they make money regardless of how you perform. Like, the person running the node don't care how you perform. The person who created the app don't care how you perform, because they're making 5% no matter what. And the platform doesn't care how you perform either, because they're making their 5%. It's like the whole mutual fund versus hedge fund thing. Like, hedge funds, yeah, they have a management fee typically, but they normally make their money from performance fees. Management fees just goes to overhead. Performance fees is they only make money when you make money. Mutual funds make money regardless of how the performance is. And whenever incentives aren't aligned, there isn't any desire. I'm not going to say desire. There isn't a fire lit under one's ass to perform really, really well if they're going to get paid regardless. The other reason why I won't use it is because, you know, the volume's kind of low. It kind of says that either it's new and people don't know about it yet, or they don't trust it. And like I said, I'd rather use Aperture and Uniswap, or just go straight to the DEX and, you know, alter the concentrated liquidity how I see fit. Now let's talk about a situation where I would use it. I would definitely use that dollar cost averaging feature. That's cool as fuck. I don't think Uniswap has that yet, only exchanges. And if I can just DCA from my wallet, put some USDT in my wallet and say, hey, buy ETH every Monday, buy this amount every Monday, that's pretty dope. Another reason where I would use it, this is me trying to be nice as if I didn't have any time, but it's like, with that 15%, that just changes everything. It's like you don't have time to not do this. Like, why are you investing? Are you trying to make money for you, for your family? You have to have a why, and it has to be strong enough to make you want to. You don't have to, like, for example, you can have a small idea as to where you think ETH is going to go, and you set a range based on that. If you don't have time, set an extremely wide range. Use it as a limit order to take profit. You can set a range from 2,000 all the way up to 6,000. The whole time is within that range. You're making passive income. When it gets to the top, you use Aperture. It takes you out when it hits 6. Boom, you just made passive income. You never had to look at it. And once it hits your price, you got out immediately. That's great. And you save 15%. 15% is a lot. I know I'm harping on that, but I just feel like that's a lot of money. So with that, I hope you guys got value from this. If you did, please consider subscribing, drop a like, share this with a friend, comment, you know, all that YouTube stuff. Let me know what protocol you guys want me to cover next. I'm going to go through all these yield optimization management protocols. I'm gonna go through all the dexes, try to go through all the DeFi protocols, just give you guys everything I got. So with that, I thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.